Going back to former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura, who I just admire so much because he's a trailblazer. Like Ron Paul, he never has compromised. He's the real deal. And that's why the media tries to attack him and say, oh, he's not the real deal. Because just like they do with Rand Paul and people, because he is the real deal. And I want to read this quote before we get into the drug war. And the fact that Jesse Ventura wouldn't be censored on MSNBC and, turned down his top-rated. He had the top-rated show on there. Then they got rid of the other guy that had a top-rated show, Donahue. And they're getting rid of everybody. And remember, these are real people that these networks could win with, but they cannot allow the idea of legalizing freedom. But I want to read a famous quote about the man in the arena. And I want all of you to pledge to be men and women in the arena. This is by a former president at the time. He just been out of office in 1910, Teddy Roosevelt. It's the man in the arena. Citizenship in a republic. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. And, Governor, I want your take on that quote and your philosophy on life. Then we're going to get into the fake drug war.
Well, I agree totally with that. It's what you do in your life and how you conduct it, and you don't have to be a big national leader if you just live day to day and stay a vigilant citizen. Focus on what's happening locally in your local school boards, what happens in your local town, and remain active, because those are the heroes that make the United States the great country it is, are the everyday citizens that take part in the creation of this great country and keeping it running like it is. And Alex, we're just lucky that we're the people that seem to have a voice and can be heard, but we really need the millions and millions out there to stand up and finally be counted, because if they don't do that, we're going to lose our great country, and it's not going to be the country that you and I were born in. It's certainly not the country that I was born in. And the direction it's heading for me today, it's not the country that I want to die in. And I would like to get it back to being the country I would like to die in someday.
Well, that's right. And you've said that if people get behind a national movement to have you run for president, if they get it lined up and show enough interest, then you'll do it. But you can't do everything. A guy 2 weeks ago ran into a burning house to get his Xbox. And that same week, a guy wouldn't run in his house to get his kids. And I think about people rioting and burning things and tumbling over cars and attacking police in Seattle when the Seahawks won. You know, I wish people would show not that energy for rioting, but that same energy politically for freedom. What's your take on that, Governor?
I agree. You know, people need to get more motivated. Let's remember something. Football is nothing more than entertainment. And that's the real problem with our country today. We have become an entertainment society now, where entertainment is the most important thing in our lives. And if they look at history, they'll find out that's exactly what happened to the Roman Empire, was they became enhanced with entertainment. Entertainment became the main focus. And, football's great, sports is terrific, and being entertained is a wonderful thing. But if you break your day up, we need to get back concentrating on the real things in life. You know, it used to be you concentrated on working an 8 or 10 hour day. Today, that's the sideline. What people focus on today is, how do I entertain myself that other 4 to 6 hours when I'm not working and I'm not sleeping? And we need to take more pride in our work and more pride in being involved in our communities, helping people out. You know, I often laugh because you hear stories about, I'm an admitted atheist now, and you hear stories about, well, atheists, they don't have values. Yes, we do. And it's the value of every day treating your fellow man, the old golden rule. Treat people the way you would want to be treated. And go out there and get involved, help people. There's nothing more gratifying in the world than helping someone, and you don't need money in which to do it.
Well, and, you know, I respect the fact that we agree on about 95% of stuff, but I totally get the fact that the churches are so evil and so hypocritical and are a bunch of Pharisees. I don't blame people running the opposite direction from these institutions. And I know you're a moral person who genuinely cares about humanity from a human perspective, and I admire that. And that's what it's all about. The people that shake their finger at each other and just want to infight over religion, you know, are the hypocrites. And if they let a better example out there, you know, people wouldn't see them for the disgusting hypocrites they are. Now, shifting gears again, you mentioned the drug war. What a battle with all 14 states trying to decriminalize or legalize marijuana, Obama doing all the raids. Whatever happened to states' rights? Obama claimed he was going to decriminalize marijuana, another lie. Give us your take on what I cut you off about before the break. And then I want to tie it into this actor who had heroin laced with painkiller. I can't pronounce this. How do you say it? Fentanyl. Takes toll on Pennsylvania, killing people. And they're also getting almost pure heroin out of Afghanistan. Tenfold increase on heroin going into Western Europe and the U.S. since the liberation of Afghanistan 12 years ago. Philip Seymour Hoffman was found dead in New York City with a needle in his arm. And I'm just, Mike Adams has a great article at naturalnews.com. It's also on Infowars.com. Overdose death of Hoffman underscores urgent need to decriminalize and regulate recreational drugs. Northern Europe, 5 countries there have decriminalized heroin, so you can get medical grade in controlled dosages, and almost no overdoses are happening now, and drug use has gone down by 50% because you take the black market out of it. Everything you've said. Governor, give us your take on all this.
Absolutely. You know, when it's like my mother said to me, my mom passed away back in 1995, but she lived through the prohibition of alcohol when they went through that nonsense way back in the 20s and early 30s where they prohibited alcohol. And my mom's observation was, she told me, she said, the war on drugs is identical to the prohibition of alcohol. All you're doing is making criminals rich and powerful. And that's precisely it. Clearly, some people within our government are profiting greatly from keeping drugs illegal. By smuggling them in, the prices are then 10 times higher than they'd normally be. I mean, let's look at tobacco and alcohol. Those two are drugs. There's no doubt about it, but for some reason they separate them from all the other ones because, number one, they're legal. Well, tobacco and alcohol causes much damage or more damage than all the, quote, illegal drugs do combined. More people die from alcohol and tobacco every year than what die from any of these other drugs. In fact, illegal drugs, medical prescription drugs, more people die from those. Overdoses of drugs you get from your doctor than die from these alleged illegal recreational drugs. And the point of the matter is, if you live in a free society, drug addiction is a medical problem. Why we have chose to make it a criminal problem, I have no idea. Why we somehow think you should take an addict and throw them in prison is beyond me. You can achieve so much more by legalizing it, taxing it, using those revenues. Then you get a hold on who the addicts are, and you can attempt to cure them. You can attempt to make them good, citizens who are productive again. And they won't have to be out buying addictive substances that are charged 10 times more than what they should cost. And that leads to other crime. If an addict has to fulfill his addiction and the price is 10 times, you don't see people robbing stores at gunpoint to get money for tobacco and alcohol. Well, the same thing would hold true if the other drugs are put at a decent price. You put them in hospitals and in pharmacies and places. You don't sell them in 7-Eleven stores, but you put them in places where people can come, admit their addiction, be able to buy what they need. Then you at least get a grasp on, okay, now can we wean this person off of the drug? And I think that in 9 times out of 10, the addict would go for that. The addict would go to stop being controlled by this drug. But the only way that's going to happen is through legalization. It's not going to happen through prohibition, and people need to wake up to that fact.
That could be a university dissertation. I know you taught at Harvard. That was perfectly said. with all the facts. I mean, look at Prohibition ending, you know, in the early 30s, and the police had been corrupted, alcoholism had tripled, billions had been made by the mafia and corrupt groups and Joe Kennedy. And so they literally went and lobbied the well-meaning Christian PTAs and people to go all over the country and get drug laws, state and federal, passed, where they'd put you in jail for 20 years for a marijuana cigarette, so that they had something new to deal. And then women need it because it's so expensive, so they become prostitutes, and the local government thugs can run that. I mean, this is all a racket, and everybody knows it. And I don't see how long the drug war can go, as the public, all the polls show, want decriminalization across the board, Jesse.
Well, then what you've got to do, Alex, is simple. You have to start electing people that agree with that position. I remember when I ran for governor of Minnesota, during the election, I made a simple statement. I said, it's time to look at legalizing drugs and prostitution. Oh, my God. The head of the Independence Party of Minnesota went ballistic. She thought I had blown the whole election. She goes, oh, we were contending. Now he opened his mouth on drugs and prostitution. We're going to lose the election. It's all lost. And I'll never forget my partner, Dean Barkley, who was instrumental in getting me to run for governor. Dean walked into the room and sat down and smiled very calmly and says, look, how do we take this lemon and turn it into lemonade? And he came up with a great idea, and it worked. He said, we're going to come out there with the position. Jesse Ventura is the only candidate with the courage to talk about these real issues, because drug addiction is real. Prostitution is real. And he's not afraid to discuss real live situations and what the regular public goes
But I mean,
through.
exactly. There's women everywhere that you take them out to dinner and you pay their bills. They don't call that prostitution. And what makes it horrible, and I'm not endorsing it, is the fact that there are pimps. It is illegal. These women are being suppressed by it being a black market, and all the studies show that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Alex, when you look at prostitution and you strip it all away, okay, in our free society, any sexual act between two consenting adults is legal. So the only illegality about prostitution, the government's not getting the cut. They're not paying taxes. The government wants to be the pimp. They need their cut. And so, you know, that's all part of it too. Follow the money. How the sex act itself is not illegal, so clearly it's the money. And then you run into a different scenario. Let's take a pornographic actor, someone who does pornography on TV for money. Is that not having sex for money? How is it they're not arrested? Is that not considered prostitution? They're having sex, and they're getting paid to do it. It's just that they're doing it on film, so I guess it's considered an artistic form.
Well said. So well, I mean, bottom line is...
Well, pornography is not illegal and prostitution is. How can that be?
Well, I just know all the studies from around the world. It's incontrovertible. You make something illegal that's a vice that doesn't hurt non-consenting people. You then make it dark, make it corrupt, make it black market, put tons of money into it, and now the mafia and the corrupt government and the police get to run it. And that's why they want it illegal, so that they can run it on the dark side, period.
Well, and it's also so that the prices will go up. Because
that's right.
Anything that's legal, the price drops. You watch in Colorado and Washington how eventually the price of marijuana is going to drop there where it's legal, because there will be competition. There will be growers of marijuana who will decide, you know what, I'll undercut the price. And I'll sell more then because my marijuana will be cheaper. And that's called good, clean competition in capitalism. That's what drives prices down, is competition. And by legalizing marijuana, and then let's look at it from a different standpoint. For those that think Jesse might be crazy or Alex is crazy, marijuana itself is the best that you can get for creating biodiesel fuel.
Alex Jones here to tell you about how you can help spread liberty worldwide while also enjoying what I have found to be the best tasting 100% organic coffee on the planet. For more than a decade, my favorite coffee has come from the high mountains of southern Mexico, where the Chiapas farmers grow their unique shade-grown Arabica beans. We have now managed to secure these sought-after beans in a highly customized blend. Discover and try a bag of the Patriot Blend 100% organic coffee at InfoWarsLife.com. This coffee gives you a long, smooth pick-me-up for hours without the headaches and heartburn that so many other coffees give me personally. Hands down, this is my favorite coffee, and it's taken us years to secure connections directly to the Chiapas Mexican farmers. Drop by the site today, order a bag or two, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Available in original or with our Immune Support Infusion Blend. You will be supporting a free press, all the while enjoying a truly great-tasting cup of my favorite coffee. Available at InfoWarsLife.com.
See the full interview on our sister channel, The Info Warrior, or become a member of PrisonPlanet.tv and help us take the message of freedom and liberty to the next level. Thanks for watching. Spread this information far and wide, and please subscribe to The Alex Jones channel.